Hello, my name is Reed Zingali. Jack Bowden and Luke Davenport helped me take on a case analysis for Coca Cola Consolidated. A little background on the company. In Greensboro, North Carolina, in 1902, a man named J.B. Harrison decided to bottle Coke products, and this was the birth of the company. In 1950, the first canned soft drink was introduced to the public, and this really set Coca Cola Consolidated apart from others in the industry. In 1982, Diet Coke was created. A few years later, in 85, Cherry Cola was created as well. During this time span, we really saw a change, a separation between other companies, and they really stood out as far as their product portfolio went. In 1999, they branched out of the soft drink kind of alley, and they branched out to water. Dasani became a player in the game as well, expanding who they were as a company. In 2010, they became the largest independent bottler in the nation.
So now looking at Coca-Cola Consolidated's business level strategy, looking at the company, we think that they most closely line up to a broad differentiator. And there's a few reasons, as you can see here, as to why we think that is. The first reason being the vast variety of products that Coca-Cola Consolidated bottles. You look at they put out, water bottles, different kinds of sodas, from Diet Coke, regular Coke, caffeine free, all that kind of stuff. They bottle for different energy drink companies. They do several different teas and juices, many other things. So they're putting out a lot of products that go across a wide variety of different areas, looking at different target markets, looking at a lot of different customers. The next thing would be that they seek to be different. We all know that there's so many different choices out there for different drinks, different kind of bottled drinks that we can go after. So one way that we think Coke sets themselves apart is by being strongly engaged in the products that they have, and believing that they are different for a reason, and that, not that they're only different, but that they're also better than all their competitors, the companies that they bottle for. And the final thing is kind of goes back to the first point about the wide variety of products, and that's that they have a vast target market. They seek to bottle products that will appeal to a lot of different customers, different people all across the world, ranging from different flavors, and then all of the different products that we talked about at the top. We think that they all point to Coca-Cola going after a wide variety of target markets, which sets them apart, again, as a broad differentiator.
And transitioning into the Porter's Five Forces model, we think that rivalry is considered to be a moderate level of force because they have very few competitors in this industry. However, they are very large, and they do produce very similar products, and this could present price wars, which makes it stronger. So we believe that this is moderate. The threat of new entrant we also believe is moderate because there are not a whole lot of barriers to enter into this drink industry, the beverage industry, and it actually has low capital requirements. However, there is very strong brand loyalty in this industry, so we also believe this is going to be moderate. The threat of substitutional goods, we believe, is strong because there are people coming out with new types of juices, waters, drinks, carbonated beverages every single day, and they're just flooding the market. The bargaining power of suppliers, we consider that to be weak because there are way more suppliers than there are buyers in this market, and they're not necessarily concentrated or customized toward the thing. So if Coca-Cola didn't feel like they were getting the best price, they could immediately switch to a new supplier and it wouldn't change anything. The bargaining power of buyers, we also consider this to be weak because there is not necessarily a collective, and the individuals cannot control the prices just by boycotting it or such. Walmart could buy in bulk and get maybe a bit of a discount, but also there's the brand loyalty, so we also think that negates it a little bit.
So now let's look at the driving forces for the bottling industry market. The first thing that we think is a big driving force is the popularity of soft drinks. This is a huge industry with a lot of potential. We all know how popular soft drinks are. Most of the people that we know drink them. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And in 2016, the soft drink market was valued at $392 billion. And that's expected to continue to grow at around 6% per year for the next several years. So this is a huge market for a lot of these bottling companies to make sure that they establish a foothold in and continue to put out products in, because there's a lot of potential to make money in it. The next thing would be a new taxation rate for sugar in drinks. This is kind of interesting, but in 2018, a new tax rate was put out for companies that make sugar drinks like Coke and stuff. And the basics of it is that for any drink that has 5 grams of sugar per 100 milliliters, they're taxed at about 18% per liter. And for drinks that have 8 grams per 100 milliliters, they're taxed at 24% per liter. So this kind of makes a lot of companies want to either change their recipe to make it with less sugar, or if like Coke they want to keep the same recipe, they're going to have to start charging more for their drinks. So this could be a huge thing that affects a lot of these bottling companies with the amount of money that they're able to make, because they may lose some customers due to the changes in recipes, or they might lose customers due to the increased rate of the people are going to have to pay for the products. So it's going to really shift the market. The next thing is the ever-growing popularity of bottled water. For years, the most popular bottled drinks and drinks that were purchased in America has been either coffee or soft drinks. But in 2017, we saw a shift where bottled water took over that part of the market. They became the highest purchased bottled drink in the country. So this is a huge thing for a lot of these bottled water companies. A lot of companies like Coca Cola Consolidated need to make sure that they're putting out bottled water, because this is a huge piece of the market that's growing every year. And that leads into the last thing, which is that consumers are now looking for a lot of healthier products. We're seeing the growth of a lot of different kind of juices and things like that, things that aren't as bad for you as soft drinks. And again, this is something that companies like Coca Cola Consolidated are affected by, and that they're seeing that they need to put out more of these kind of products if they want to reach today's market. So now we're going to look at the key success factors that apply specifically to Coca Cola Consolidated. The first thing is the umbrella of companies that Coca Cola bottles. Again, we talked about this in the beginning. We see a lot of products. Obviously, Coke is a huge one, but there's also a lot of different products, like Monster Energy drink is one that they have. Dasani, which we'll get to in a little bit, is one of their most popular ones, which is a water bottle. As well as several other things. They produce different kind of chocolate milk, several other things. So there's a wide variety of products that they put out to appeal to a huge market. They seek to get in pretty much any market you can imagine with bottled drinks. The next is brand loyalty. You see this with a lot of different companies, and this is no exception. People have their drinks that they like. There's the obvious one is Coke versus Pepsi, but you see it with anything, Monster Energy versus Red Bull. And people are very exclusive to their brands. They don't really like to shift away from it. So you see Coca-Cola Consolidated is capitalizing on that, because a lot of their brands are the most popular in their fields. The next thing is Dasani's hold on the bottled water market. We saw in the driving forces that that bottled water is a huge piece of the market. It's become the most popular bottled drink in America. And Dasani is consistently the most successful bottled water that there is. It beats out PepsiCo's bottled water, which is Aquafina, pretty much every year. So this is a huge thing that will drive the success of Coca-Cola Consolidated if they continue to bottle this water and it continues to be the most successful. And the final thing is that Coca-Cola is a global brand. They have distribution centers all across America. When you look at them on the map, it's quite impressive. They have them spread out all across the United States, as well as they have a lot of bottling and distribution plants in Germany. That's kind of their main hub for Europe, where they do all their bottling and distribution. And they also have several different facilities in Australia and Canada. So their reach is huge. Obviously, their products are sold all across the world too. They have products that are tailored for specific countries and specific demographics. And this is a huge key success.
As far as the SWOT analysis goes, we have a list of many strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but I'm going to highlight the ones that we think are vital. As far as the strengths go, they are the largest bottler in the nation. And so when people think of Coca-Cola, this is the company that they will associate with the bottling. And another strength is just how diverse their bottling company is. And so it's not just soft drinks. They, like we showed earlier, they branched out to water. They do juices. It's not what it used to be in 1950. And so that is working in their favor. As far as weaknesses go, they do hire older individuals with more experience. And I don't believe that it's not because they don't want to hire younger people. I just think that the company culture and the environment that they created doesn't really speak out to the younger millennial age group, and we're going to address that in recommendations later on. Also, a weakness is the fact that they have a high attrition rate. And attrition rate is just a fancy way of saying employee turnover. And so they're getting all these people coming in and they're training them, investing money and time, resources into new hires, and they're leaving without that individual really giving a lot of return for the company. And that's an issue. As far as the opportunities go, they really need to expand. They're located in the southeastern region, and a lot of their business and success is found in that region. So they need to look to expand west and just throughout the United States. It's a great opportunity because people know of Coke. It's a great opportunity for them to expand and be a more profitable company, because that's what we're looking to do. Another opportunity is, it really correlates with one of the threats that we have. Consumer behavior and culture is changing. People are wanting more healthy alternatives. And so the opportunity is to add onto the portfolio with healthy alternatives, more of them, because that's what consumers are looking for now. And finally, the threats. There's been a shift in consumer behavior, like I mentioned before. People are wanting healthy alternatives that taste great. And so if we don't adapt as a bottling company and as Coke, that could be very disastrous for us. And also, in addition to that, the threat is competitors, people who are leading in the industry. They are hiring, and they're willing to hire young talent. And with that comes creativity and the use of technology, so you can be more efficient. And so if our company does not act in the same manner, it's going to be really hard to be at a disadvantage.
Moving into the analysis of financials, there are a few things I want to highlight. The gross profit margin, you can see that it has been steadily declining over the past 5 years, mainly because the cost of goods sold have consistently increased over the past 5 years. Operating profit margin, this has also declined over the past few years, just slowly, but also because of the increase in selling, general, and administrative expenses. The main thing that I want to highlight is that you can see that right here in 2018, that our net profit margin actually went negative. And this is mainly, the drop is said to be because there's an ongoing refranchising problem going on with the bottling territories. And this is mainly due to the bottling franchises being formerly owned by Chinese partners and partners in Africa that were not upholding the requirements of what Coca Cola wanted from them. And also, because of that, the Coca Cola, under the new tax law, was hit with a one-time tariff of $3.6 billion on their historical off-sale earnings in just this time period alone.
As we jump into strategic concerns, the first one is that there have been environmental issues and regulations. So if we don't address these things, it could hurt our brand image. And also, the consumers that we once had might leave if we don't address these things. Also, the suppliers can't really keep up with the demand due to the low capacity currently. The next thing is the attrition rate. We talked earlier about this, and too many people who are new hires are leaving. And this is hurting us financially, and also, it's hurting the company culture when we do that. So we want to figure out what it is and address it, and really try to make it the best workplace that's possible. Another strategic concern is the shift in consumer behavior. Like we said earlier, they want new, healthy alternatives, and we need to make sure that we're doing that for them. Also, the last thing is that our business is in the southeastern region. Right now, the very thing that could be an opportunity right now is our threat, that we are not capitalizing on all the available space and consumers and profitability here in the United States, and our competitors are doing that. So if we're not doing that, we're missing out.
For our first recommendation, we would like to recommend for Coca Cola Bottling Company to be able to start promoting a healthier beverage option along with the Coke brand. We believe that this could be done through allocating around $250,000 for the beginning marketing startup. We believe that it can be pushed through YouTube and newspaper ads. We think that we should allocate $150,000 toward YouTube advertisements, reaching around 1.5 million people, and the newspaper ads for the remaining $100,000 to be able to reach another 1.5 million people. In hopes that we would be able to reach a young demographic and an old demographic. What does this do for Coca-Cola? Well, the purpose is to try and change the perception of how Coca-Cola is being viewed, because right now they're being seen as an unhealthy option when drinking, unhealthy options all the way around. And we want to change that, because if we can allocate healthier juices and flavored waters and maybe possibly better energy drinks that are healthy for the body, then to be allocated with the brand of Coke, then people are going to start seeing it as this wide picture instead of just this sugary beverage. And with this, we might be able to pierce into a new market such as the food industry or the healthier food market, much like Pepsi has already began to start to do, is to allocate these food brands to be able to get into that market. And I think that would be able to help promote our brand and also help with competition by us being right on par with Pepsi, if not better, because we are.
So for our second recommendation, I think it would be very effective to implement a development program. And the reason for that is, like I was mentioning earlier, we're having a hard time hiring that younger professional millennial demographic. And that's going to be very important, vital to the company to succeed, because these are the individuals who are going to bring creative ideas, be able to use technology, and really push the company forward. So why aren't they coming to Coca-Cola Consolidated? Well, I did some research, and HarvardBusinessReview.org it listed 3 of the most vital things that young professionals are looking for in a job. One is the ability for growth and to learn through a company. The second is the quality of the manager. And the third is the quality of the top management. So a 3-step development program for the overall, I would say, image of the company, so individuals could come in and they would see the culture that has been created. One is to invest in the training even more so, and also give new hires the opportunity to learn constantly through certifications and events, so they're always learning and growing within this company to make them feel valued. The second is to really highlight and encourage the use of new technology and creativity. This will empower the new hire and young professionals to feel like they're contributing to the company. And the third thing is to assign a mentor for employees. This is important because it makes them feel, and it is, that they are being poured into by people that are higher up in the company. And it lets them know that they care, and they hope that that these new professionals stay at the company and really grow, and they can watch.
Now let's look at our third and final recommendation for Coca Cola Consolidated. This recommendation is to establish a campaign to promote Coke's environmental efforts. And the main part of this that we found is that they're one of the leading companies in water treatment plants for their distribution centers and for their production bottling facilities. And this is something, when reading about it, I had no idea that it was going on. But it's a pretty huge effort that they do. Pretty much all of their facilities, which the exception of a few, which we'll get to, take the water that isn't used up in the process, and they filter it, and then they put it back into the environment or out to different communities, providing clean water to the world, which is pretty huge. And we believe that they should use these efforts to promote that they are environmentally aware and that they are trying to do things to help the environment. And this could be huge because that's such a huge thing. People now, they all want to help our world. We know that there's problems in the world, and Coca-Cola is doing something to help it. But not many people really know about it. So they should have some ad campaigns to show that they're doing this and to promote themselves as environmentally aware. And the next part of this recommendation is to bring the rest of their facilities up to code with this process. They have 9 facilities across the world out of their 804 that aren't up to this standard yet. And 3 of those are in the planning and beginning construction. 2 of them are in the planning stage, and the other 3 are in areas where there's civil strife, which is kind of preventing that from happening. So we believe that they should get the rest of their facilities up to code. And it's not even to code, really. A lot of theirs, the places where they're doing this, the government doesn't really regulate that they do that, but they're doing it anyway, which we think could be a huge benefit for them and could really push them forward and see Coke as a company that is trying to help the world in this way of providing clean water to different communities and back into nature.